One day I'll be happy. Maybe when I get rid of this cellulite. One day I'll be happy. Maybe when he texts me back. Maybe when I have the life of that perfect girl on Instagram. I'll be happy when I get that promotion at work. I'll be happy when my kids show me some respect for once. I'll be happy when my parents tell me they're proud of me for the first time. I'll be happy when I'm not in pain anymore. I'll be happy when. When will you be happy? Sound familiar? Now is your chance. My name is Ange, and I'm delighted to welcome you here tonight to celebrate the launch of Niyc's book. Now, here in the room, we have her family, we have her parents, we have her friends, her brother. We have lots of people that have been in her life for many, many years. And I'm not one of those people. In fact, I've only been in Niyc's life for 14 months. So it's okay with you. I'm going to share how we met. Because it's a little bit unusual. And it's not actually very happy at all. In fact, it was a really bad time of my life. It was probably the lowest point of my years. At the time, I think I was 39. And just to add some insult to injury of my worst possible time of my life, I had a call from a friend who said, you need to look on this website, because on this website there's a forum where mums at home chat to each other, and they're talking very badly of you. I'd never heard of this website before, and I'd certainly never been on it before. Curiosity got the better of me, and I went onto the website, and sure enough, there was my name, and I was being trolled for the choices that I make in my life, for the job that I do, for many things. Really nasty, really personal. But they happened to be mentioning another girl in the same thread. They'd put us together. And actually, I thought, forget all the stuff that they're saying about me. Who's this girl on my patch? Let's Google her. So I did. And what did I find? I found this stunning girl, tall, beautiful, gorgeous, in this bright pink dress in Hollywood. She could have been somewhere crappy, couldn't she? But no, she's in bloody Hollywood. Who is she, I thought. So I thought, well, I haven't got time to deal with this stuff. So I rang my PA, Lara, and I said, find out who this woman is. I want to know what she does, why she's on my patch, why they're talking about her in the same sentence they're talking about me in. Even if it is horrible stuff, I want to know. So Lara went off to do some research. And she came back and she said to me, oh, she's a coach. She doesn't do anything that you do. It's a completely different industry. They've got it all wrong. Well, trolls, they always do, right? So Lara said, I'm going to book a call with her. I think I want to use her services. I said, okay, Lara, sure enough, you go ahead, whatever. And Lara did. She booked a call with her, and she did one of Niyc's courses. I think she may have even done some one-to-one coaching. And all of a sudden, my PA became a different woman. She was lighter. She was brighter. She was happier. And during this process, I'd spoke to Niyc on the phone to thank her for the help that she'd given Lara, and we just clicked. When they say, when you meet your soulmate, you'll click, you'll just know. Well, that can happen with friends too. And even though we were yet to meet in person, that's what happened with Niyc and I. A few months later, I happened to be going on holiday to Hollywood with my family, and I asked, would she like to meet up? So we met. The very next day, we went and did a big presentation together in Hollywood. We went to an incredible party, and we went to some fancy restaurant. We went to some amazing places, and that was it then. we became inseparable. That was in August last year. Having Nick in my life at that time was the most wonderful thing that ever happened to me. And I'm sure many of you feel the same or felt the same at the time that Nick came in and touched your life. Because everyone whose lives she touched leaves a better person. Isn't that remarkable? Everybody has got the most immense gratitude and appreciation for Nick. Can you imagine how many women and men there are around the world that are so grateful to her? Some of you have never met her in real life. Some of you, you've traveled from miles around the country to see her for the first time tonight, but she's changed your life. What kind of power has somebody got that can do that? She's a very special person. We've had some real laughs, I have to say. We've been to the most incredible places. And I realized that through her teachings and how she teaches people to be happy using positive psychology, that is actually how she really is all the time. I've never seen her negative. I've never heard her say a bad word about anybody or anything. In fact, if I called you and said, we're being talked about on this internet site, and they're trolling us and they're speaking badly of us, what would you say? Let me have a look. 14 months on from that moment, Nick has never once asked me, what were they saying about us that day? She does not want to know. She is so happy and content in herself that she does not want to know what they were saying. Isn't that amazing? I find it remarkable. One time, not so long ago, but one time, we went out on a night out where I live in the Canary Islands. We had some drinks, we had some fun with some friends, and we knew the DJ, so we put our handbags behind the DJ box. But at the end of the night, when we went to get our bags, Nick's was gone. Somebody, whilst we were dancing and having a great night, had took her bag. Now, Nick's worked very hard for what she's got, and she'd bought herself a lovely Louis Vuitton handbag. Inside that was her driving license, her credit cards, her favorite lip gloss. Inside that were her prescription sunglasses from Michael Kors, everything. 2 days later, she was due to fly to Ibiza from my house to celebrate another event with another friend. Also in that bag was her office. Nick doesn't have an office, no, but she has 2 phones, right? Her American phone and her English phone. And that's how she does all of her work, and that's how she communicates with all of her clients and runs all of her business. Those phones were gone. How do you think Nick reacted to that situation? How would you react? I'm not going to lie, but if I lose my phone for 5 minutes, I'm self-harming. She's in a foreign country, she's not at home, she can't just go and report it lost and get another phone and get everything back. And she's not due to go home, she's due to go on to a next party. Nick was absolutely fine. I was really drunk. So apparently in the taxi on the way back and whilst we were looking for it and what was going on, apparently I kept saying really annoyingly, Nick, have you lost your bag? And in the taxi, she had mine next to her in between us. And apparently I said, Nick, have you lost your bag? And she went, don't worry, Ange, I haven't lost my bag. It's right here. And she put her hand on my bag to stop me from worrying. In the morning, we woke up and we started to make some calls to the credit card companies, to the phone companies. We tried to do the Find My iPhone thing. We had to go to the police. We had to go through the security footage at the nightclub. She never once complained. In fact, when I woke up and went downstairs dying of a hangover, I'm a terrible drinker, she was in my kitchen dancing around a laptop, happy as Larry. 10 o'clock that night, when we stood in a phone shop, they open really late in Spain, my ex-husband came along to help us, because we didn't have the right identification because she'd lost it and this, that, and the other. So he was getting the phone in his name for her. And it took hours and hours, because in Spain they want a lot of paperwork. And I'm dying right now. I'm literally sat on a stool and I'm like, when is this going to be over? This is horrible. And she's deep in thought, but she's smiling. I was like, Nick, what are you smiling at? She went, I'm just going through my gratitudes in my head. I was like, okay. I'm just thinking about getting a McDonald's on the way home. And then when we got home, we were pouring some drinks, and she's on one side of my breakfast bar, and I'm on the other. And she's got this crazy cap on, this little white dress, and there's a song on, and she's a pretty rubbish dancer, but she's doing this crazy dancing. I'm like, Nick, how can you be so unaffected? You've lost everything. You couldn't do your client calls today. You've got no numbers. You've got no credit card. You've lost your sunglasses. You've lost your bag. It's all gone. She went, well, it doesn't matter, does it? Can you imagine being that happy that these things don't affect you? And despite all the glamorous places that she gets to go to and we've been to together in these past 14 months, this week she told me that the happiest time of her life, sorry to friends, family, and everybody else, but the happiest time of her life was when she spent a week on her own, babysitting my mum's tortoises. She said she was so happy in my mum's villa in the Canaries, every day getting up and doing her morning ritual, putting Motown on because that was all that was sort of programmed into the speaker system at my parents' house, dancing around, doing her ritual, dancing around, popping down to where the tortoises are to do a little head count. She was happy for a whole week. She didn't speak to another soul. She got her phones back by then as well, you know. She didn't speak to another soul for 7 days. She didn't see any humans, just tortoises for 7 days. And she was so happy. I'm miserable if I'm on my own for a couple of hours. I don't know about you. You know, I say to people, I really wish that everybody could have a Nick Pigeon in their lives. She spent the last 3 years working hard so that everybody can have Nick Pigeon in their lives. She spent the last 3 years working on that book so she can share with the whole world what she does in some simple steps over 30 days. Can you please be upstanding to help me welcome to the room the happiest woman I know, the sister I never had but always wanted, Miss Nick Pigeon.
Thank you. Good evening, Newcastle. Good evening, everybody that is tuning in from home via the live stream around the world as well. Thank you so much for being here, for joining in this space and place, and for showing up for your happiness this evening as well. So, Ange, thank you so much for the kind introduction. One of the things that I love so much about Ange is that she is an action taker. And she always says to me, shall we just do that now? The message of this book, Now Is Your Chance, is that you have power in the now, in the present moment. This photo shoot took us a whole 11 minutes. This was actually after I'd had my bag stolen. We're in Lanzarote, and she'd had her card cloned. Between the two of us, both got $1 million businesses, but had no money. We thought, right, what we're going to do to make ourselves feel better. So we took the car to the garage, we took the badge off the front, and we changed it from Discovery to Very Disco. We then took the car out and had a little photo shoot, because you've always got the power to change the way that you feel in an instant. And that is the message of this book. I thank you all for being here to celebrate this message. And I'd love for you all just to stand up for me for a moment and just raise your books in the air. Each and every one of you in this room now has a copy of Now Is Your Chance. You have the power in your hands for the next 30 days to change your life, to change the way that you feel forever. How many of you have actually also bought a copy of this? Awesome. How many of you bought more than one copy? Stay standing, everybody else sit down. More than one copy, thank you. What I want you to do with the other copies that you've bought is to pay it forward. Give a copy of Now Is Your Chance to somebody else so that they can share in happiness, so they can find their joy as well. Stay standing if you've bought or ordered more than 5 copies. Look around the room, guys. More than 10 copies, stay standing. Everyone else sit down. Thank you so much. I honor you. I honor the way that you show up, and I honor the way that you lead. Take a seat. Thank you, guys. So the book has been doing fantastically well, and that is not because of me, that is because of you. That is because of your support for the message that you can thrive. You can choose to change your life. You can choose to flourish. You can choose to put into actions these tools, these teachings every single day. So the book is a 30-day guide to living your happiest life using positive psychology. It gives you a tool or a teaching every single day for 30 days. How many of you are in the challenge at the moment? Awesome. So I just went live on Facebook backstage to share. We're teaching through the book in a Facebook group. So I went live backstage with Ange and taught day 3 because it's the 3rd of the month. So if anyone wants to join us, please join us in the challenge. So the book gives you this real-life roadmap to thriving, and it brings together the science to meet spirituality. It brings together the proven interventions, the validated, empirically tested science of positive psychology as the science of happiness with my personal experience as well. It gives you something simple, something practical, because I know we're all busy, something that you can do every day, something that's easy, something that's fun, something that allows you to feel good. I went into Waterstones in Newcastle the other day, and I saw the book on the shelf. I promise I didn't put it there myself. So it's amazing to see this book, this baby that I've been working on for so long, get out there into the real world. We passed Oprah in the charts on Amazon. And this was actually when we were at number 45. We managed to climb from there with your support to number 5, which is amazing. So the book is now a bestseller, and we're going to take it all the way to the top. We have had amazing support from global leaders. So this is a post that Brendan Burchard did. If you don't know who he is, he's one of the top 25 best leaders in personal development and one of the top 100 most influential people in the world. And he posted about the book. So huge gratitude for him sharing it on Facebook with his 5.5 million followers. Just more proof that the message of Now Is Your Chance and the importance of happiness is something that is here to stay. So, Ange mentioned that I have lived in Hollywood. I spent time in Los Angeles for the last 18 months, but my roots are here in Newcastle, and that's why I wanted to come back and share in this experience with you guys, the most important people in my world. So I've lived in Newcastle, grown up in Newcastle. I was born here. I was born in a place called Gosforth. Had a really, really happy family life. My mum and dad are both here today. Thank you so much for being here. My brother's here today as well. And I'm always grateful for their support. Unfortunately, by the time I reached the age of 11, I was being bullied so bad at school that I tried to take my own life. So I was pulled out of school. I was homeschooled for 6 months. And mum and dad actually decided to remortgage their house to be able to give me the education that they knew that I deserved. So I stand here in gratitude for that education and for those decisions and that belief in me, because I would not be here on this stage today if they hadn't have made choices in that way. From then, I went to grow up. I went to an awesome school called Church High. We've got some Church High girls in the room. We've also got one of my old teachers in the room, so thank you so much for being here today. Fantastic, fantastic school. Learned so much. Had a fantastic experience of being in a girls' school, wearing green tights, and everything that comes along with that. The lip gloss, the walk down to the boys' school after we finished lessons, and everything in between. I graduated from sixth form, and I had this desire, this urge to do something with the studies that I'd been doing. And at the time, I'd been studying physics, maths, business, and geography. And my goal was to go on to be a Formula One mechanic, believe it or not. So this was when I was 17 or 18. And I decided that I was going to take a gap year and I was going to put the scholarships that I had on hold. I'd had 2 scholarships to study mechanical and automotive engineering at Newcastle University and also at Loughborough University. And I decided instead to travel, which has become a little bit of a habit of mine, those of you that know me well. So I moved over to Australia, and instead of going down the Formula One route, I found my love and my passion for psychology. My partner at the time was a professional cricket player, and he'd taken some time off from the winter over here to go over to Australia and to train over there. And while he was over there, he was speaking with a sports psychologist. And he came home from his session one day and he said, "Nick, had this amazing session. I was lying there on the couch and he was taking me through this visualization." And at the time I was like, what on earth is a visualization? And he said he was teaching me to breathe, he was teaching me to relax my muscles, and he was getting me to think about being out there on the cricket pitch when I was into bat. And he said, think about when you're standing there and you've got the cricket bat in your hand and you're looking around the field. Don't look for those fielders that stand in front of you. Look for the gaps in between the fielders instead. Now that struck a chord with me because I understood that sports psychology isn't just for people that play sports. It's representative and applicable to our wider lives. Don't look for the obstacles. Don't focus on what's wrong. Look for the opportunities instead. So from that conversation, I decided that I wasn't going to go on to study mechanical and automotive engineering, and I was going to come back to the UK, and instead I was going to study psychology. So I began my studies of psychology back in, 2007, so 10 years ago, a full decade ago. And I found a love for what we do right as people rather than what we do wrong. So in the year 2000, the science of positive psychology was born as the science of happiness and the science of optimal functioning and what we as humans do right rather than wrong. So we as positive psychologists look at how individuals, communities, and businesses as well can thrive. One of the main frameworks of PosPsych is this framework here, the PERMA criteria. How many of you are familiar with the PERMA criteria? Raise a hand. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So the PERMA criteria says that you need these 5 things in order to be flourishing or thriving in life. Positive emotions, engagement, positive relationships, meaning and accomplishment. So take a look at these things, these 5 elements, and consider where you have these in your life, or maybe where one of these things is missing right now. We've built the whole framework of Now Is Your Chance of this book around this theory. And the reason that we've done that is because it's so easy to understand. It's so easy to connect with. So you'll notice in your Now Is Your Chance books, if you just open it at any chapter, the start of any chapter, you'll notice that PERMA criteria right up front. So what we've done in each and every chapter is we've delivered a tool or a teaching, but right up front at the start, we've shared this PERMA criteria, and we've told you which of the elements, the intervention or the tool or the teaching, it hits for that day. So the ones that are highlighted are the ones that it's going to help you with for that particular activity. So I want to just read from the book. And from the introduction, you can turn to this page, page XXX, where it begins, your highest good. It's easy to read a book and to feel inspired. The important part is actually doing the work. The good news is that all of the daily practices and techniques in this book are conspiring for your highest good. You'll always feel better for using them, which means that you're about to feel better every day for the next 30 days and beyond. I like to call these simple tools my Nick notes. Pretty cool to have a book named after you. And I hope that they help you to make a positive choice in a moment that can shift the way that you feel. Reading the book and applying the tools daily is your 30-day immersion experience. You're surrounding yourself with these tools and these teachings to give yourself a brand new kickstart to living your happiest life. But of course, when you allow these tools to become part of your everyday life, you'll find that the impact of this book will extend way beyond 30 days. So take the tools, find your favorites, and understand which are the ones that stretch you out of your comfort zone as well. Be prepared to be uncomfortable. It's an indicator that you are growing. One of the biggest misconceptions that I see is that happiness is all about thinking positive. Positive is great, but there's so much more to your journey than that. Back in, goodness, when was this now? This was in 2012, I believe, when I had a conference call with Sir Richard Branson and Elon Musk. I was kindly invited by Virgin, who had offered me some funding for one of my first businesses, to join in a Google Hangout with two of the world's most prolific billionaires, which is a pretty cool place to be in. So I was invited to ask a question to these billionaires, and I got to ask Elon, what is the hardest thing that you've ever had to do in business? I said, I'm a positive psychologist, and I would really love to know what's been challenging for you. And he replied with a really surprisingly emotional answer. Now, I'm on the internet now as the girl that made the billionaire cry, because what I didn't know at the time was that this guy welled up when he was giving me his answers. So the production crew, Jewel, I know you're in the room right now, you were there on this experience. Production crew, as I was looking down the lens, were behind the camera going, oh my God. And he teared up because he was telling this story and this journey of having put himself out there and put himself on the edge and got out of his comfort zone and done something differently. And he told the story of when he was faced with making the decision of investing in either SpaceX or Tesla. He didn't have the money to do both. So he decided that he was going to give everything that he had, absolutely everything. He was going to put himself on the line. He left himself with absolutely nothing. He went all in, and both of these businesses have thrived. So this, again, is a lesson that is representative of how you do life. If you guys go all in, you too can flourish and thrive. It's not always easy. You will have challenges. I'm sure that there's some of you that are sitting here in this room right now that are not living your happiest life right now. I'm sure there's a lot of you that are going through hard times, that sometimes feel in a low mood, or are really struggling with something from your past or something that's going on right now. In 2014, I had one of the hardest years of my life. I'd always been a happy person, but my happiness was really on the surface. I applied the tools of positive psychology, and they made me even happier than I already felt. But what I didn't realize is that I wasn't living a deeply connected, purposeful, meaningful life. And I was faced with my challenges, and I had to face my fears in order to really find the deep place of connection and joy that I live from now. During 2014, I cut my eye open with a contact lens and contracted a flesh-eating bug. It's something that can eat through your cornea in your eye, and it can make you go blind in a week. Luckily, I'm still here, I'm still standing, I can see you all very well. But at that time, I was challenged. I couldn't run my businesses in the way that I wanted to, and I was forced to take a step back. My dad was also going through some heart surgery, a triple heart bypass and a heart valve replacement, which hit me harder than I thought it would. I was struggling with exhaustion. My business wasn't working the way I wanted it to. I'd put on 2 stone in weight through adrenal fatigue. And then I started having flashbacks and hallucinations, and I remembered a time years ago when I'd been raped. Now, I was forced to do the work on myself and for myself from a place of desperation, from a place of deep darkness and fear, where I was lying in bed, waking up from nightmares, and all I could see was my duvet cover and the shapes on it moving as if they were out to get me. And it's something that luckily I can look back and I can smile and I can laugh at now. But from that place and space, I was in complete terror, and I told no one at the time. So I know that there's people in this room that are not speaking up, that are going through something and they haven't shared it. And I want you to know that it is going to be okay. No matter whether it's a natural disaster or a daily disaster, we all have the power to make a change. So I was forced to make a choice to start to share what had happened with me with a few close people and to get professional help. So I worked with Rape Crisis for 10 months, and I had counseling to work on how I felt and to process the emotions that I had hidden for so long. I'd actually been struggling with a form of post-traumatic stress disorder where you repress the experience completely. And the reason that it came back was only because I was ready to deal with it and ready to process it. And that's exactly what I did. I'd like you to turn in your books to page 91. Day number 12. Make choices, not excuses. And the quote at the top of this chapter says, I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. You always have a choice, guys. You can empower yourself right now, in a moment, tomorrow, next week, to make a change and to do things differently. Did you know that you are your own problem and your own solution? Learning and accepting this simple fact can help us to take responsibility for who we are, what we do, what we have, and what we can create. It's important because so often it seems easier to pass the blame and to make excuses for why things aren't going the way that we want them to. But when you own yourself and your choices, you empower yourself. I know I used to feel like I was having a rough ride, that my relationship wasn't working because the other person was doing something wrong, that my business wasn't working despite trying so hard, or that I was feeling tired and I just didn't know why. But as soon as I started to look at myself and to own my thoughts and actions, I really began to understand how much of a part I had to play in all of this as well. Successful entrepreneurs such as Richard Branson emphasize the importance of being able to make a decision and move forwards. That way you're able to quickly identify whether the decision was correct and to adjust your actions accordingly. You can start to view all of your journey as a learning opportunity and understand that even though you may have made poor choices in the past, those choices have allowed you to consciously make better choices in the now and own your journey as you grow. Instead of blaming and complaining, today is the day to take a hard, long look at yourself and to realize the true power of taking responsibility. Making excuses for the things not going to plan is an incredibly disempowering response. It leaves you feeling weak, victimized, like you don't know what to do next, and that you just want somebody to come along and pull you out of your shit. Well, I have news for you. That person is always, always, always going to be you. Things really started to change for me when here in Newcastle, I was nominated for an award. And that award was the Breakthrough Barriers Award with the Sage, with the Prince's Trust. And it was a nomination that came anonymously from people here in the Northeast. I had absolutely no idea that I was getting entered into this contest. And I went along on the night. Dad, you came with me, didn't you? And I remember saying to myself, I feel so unwell, I feel so tired that I really just don't want to go. So Dad and I went along. He'd just recovered from his heart surgery, so it was really amazing to have him by my side in this experience. And we were sitting and we were talking to all of the different other entrepreneurs and all encouraging each other. And when it came to the Breakthrough Barriers Award, my name got called and I couldn't believe it. I was genuinely shocked and surprised that I'd won this award because I'd been so inside of myself at the time doing this work on myself that I just really didn't feel like I had anything to celebrate. But people on the outside thought something different. And when it came for the overall Young Entrepreneur of the Year award to be called, I won that one too. I think, Dad, you'll agree that it was a huge shock and a huge surprise for me. And one of the things about winning this award that has been the best thing for me is that it's given me a platform. It gave me the confidence. You guys here in the Northeast gave me the confidence to go out there and follow my dreams. And for that, I thank you. When leaving for Australia in June 2015, I remember being excited. I remember being nervous. And I remember going on this new adventure for 3 months to write my first book. That book was Now Is Your Chance. And it was a very different book to the one that you guys have in your hands right now. I'd love to know, can you all just stand up for me for 1 second, please? Who has traveled to be here from outside of Newcastle? Stay standing. Everyone else sit down. Thank you. Who has traveled to be here from outside of the Northeast? Stay standing. Look around you. Look at this commitment to happiness. Who has traveled to be here from outside of the UK? Stay standing. Amazing. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Let's go one step further. Who has traveled from outside of Europe to be here today? Thank you, guys. South Dakota, Cape Town. Thank you so much for being here. Take a seat, guys. I just want to honor the intention that you have, the action taken that you are displaying by being here in this room tonight. You are in a small percentage of people who actually show up to do this work for yourself. And I really want you to know that you're not here for me, you're here for you. And I want you to take from this evening everything that you need. Take from this book everything that you need. Apply it and share it far and wide. Your conditions are not always going to be ideal. When I left the UK to go and live in Australia to write this book for 3 months, I thought I had it all worked out. I moved out of my apartment, I sold my car, my case was 41 kilos, I had to give my dad my bag of crystals back. And I got over to Australia and I started to write from this place of being in my head, of saying, let's write 2,000 words a day, Nick, you're an academic, let's do it this way. And it really didn't work. And again, I was faced with all of these challenges. I went over to see Luke and Hayley, who were living in New Zealand at the time. It was the middle of July, which is the middle of winter in New Zealand. And again, anyone that knows me knows that I do not like the cold. And I was struggling in my business. I'd moved over to the other side of the world to write my book. I thought that this was my big break. I thought that this was it. I'd launched an online program, this online coaching business. And when I put it out there, I had a grand total of 1 person sign up to the group program. Now, I think you'll agree that 1 person in a group program really isn't a group. So everyone around me was just saying, Nick, just give up. You can't do this. You can't do this entrepreneur thing. You just need to go and get a job. You just need to chill out, just refocus, realign, do things differently. You can't do what you want to do. And I thought, you know what? What would I teach somebody else to do? I'd teach them to follow their dreams. I'd teach them to get themselves into the most positive place and space inside of themselves, inside of their mind that they possibly could. So this is a photo of me after I'd put my headphones in. I'd put on a positive podcast, and I thought, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do what I would teach other people to do. I'm going to go out. I'm going to move my body. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to make myself feel good, and I will trust that the answers will flow in. That month in my business, I made $35,000. And I could have given up. So when you are in a place of fear, when you are in a place of uncertainty, go to the tools in this book. I promise you, I have tested them in the good times and the bad, and I know for certain that they work. Your conditions will not always be ideal, I will repeat. I made $100,000 using a suitcase as a desk. So your conditions will not always be ideal. Don't wait until they're ideal. Get started, whatever your dreams are today. Whatever it is that makes you feel happy, take a step towards them today. I'd like you to open your books again for me. I'm going to page number 43, act as if. How you do one thing is how you do everything. One of my favorite quotes. How you show up in your life and in your world is representative of how you do everything inside of yourself, inside of your work, inside of your business if you have one. And this chapter asks you to take a moment to imagine what it would be like if you were living your happiest life right now. How would you be feeling and how would you be behaving? Are you actually being the person that you intend to become? Today, I want you to consider where you might notice a divide between who you desire to be and who you are being right now. I want you to notice where your actions are maybe out of alignment with the way that you think and you feel, and where they're out of integrity with your values. If you're not doing what you say you'll do, then it's time to bring your goals inside, to bring your goals, dreams, and best self inside of you, and to start really living them right now. In my session with my client, Emma, who's sitting here in this audience today, we spoke about her fantastic organizational skills and her assertiveness. She observed that she had demonstrated these in her relationship and her family life, and also within her professional career, but she wasn't showing up yet as powerfully within her business. And when she illuminated this gap, she was able to commit to being the person that she intended to become, and she allowed herself to grow even more quickly than she already was. The things that I love to hear from you are when you've put these tools and these teachings into action for yourself, when you've tried them out, when you see the results. When I hear from someone that they've got their children doing a dance party or they've got their kids doing gratitudes, that is literally my job done. Our responsibility is to show up not just for ourselves, but to show up for the other people in our lives. We have an opportunity to shift not just our generation, but generations that come after us as well. Turn to page 97. Day number 13, kick-ass confidence. I am the greatest that I said that before I even knew I was. Where happiness and confidence grow, success and fulfillment flow. And whilst there is a lot to be said for lipstick and a good pair of heels, me some mink in the audience, or a sharp suit and a clean shave to kickstart your day, we ultimately need to stop comparing our insides to other people's outsides. It's easy to create an ideal view of somebody else's happiness or success when you're looking at what they want you to see. The difference being that you don't know how another person feels, only what they choose to have you believe. When coaching women from around the world, many of whom are inspirational leaders, high-powered executives and successful entrepreneurs with 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, and even 9-figure businesses, I notice again and again that they struggle with self-doubt. Self-doubt seems to be something that transcends sex, geography, and profession, and at every step of your journey, success, or the pay scale, a new challenge presents itself that allows self-doubt to creep back in. So in this chapter, you're invited to do the work, page 103, because choosing to do nothing is an absolute no-no. We have one life to feel and be our best, and we might as well start now. Self-mastery starts but never ends, and our work on ourselves is never done, because we are always constantly growing and evolving. Our environments are changing, and we are challenged with new experiences and interactions. If you don't work on yourself, you'll get left behind. Your confidence is developed by first acknowledging that you would love to have some more of it. Once you know what you want, you can go and get it. And in this chapter follows 5 of my tried and tested methods to build your own self-esteem. So I'll leave you to read those tried and tested methods and to put them into action in your own time. Over in Australia, I finally finished my book proposal. I'd already been there longer than the 3 months that I'd planned. I essentially left the UK and never came home. So I left for 3 months. I stayed in Australia for 9 months. And the Writers' Workshop competition that I'd entered with Hay House was due to be announced in January. So it was January 2015, and I was sitting waiting for the call. And I knew that the UK didn't wake up until 9 hours behind us. So it was late at night, and my friend Helen and I were sitting on the sofa. We had those recliner chairs like Joey and Chandler have on Friends, where you pull them out and your legs go up and you're super chilled out. So we sat there watching a movie, and the call wasn't coming in, but I knew that I'd won this competition. I knew because I'd done the work on myself and inside of myself to work on my dreams and my vision before I needed somebody else on the outside to validate me. I'd entered this competition with 200 other people to win a book deal with my dream publisher, Hay House. And the call never came. But what did happen was I had an email. They couldn't get through to me because I was in Australia, so I got the email to say, Nick, congratulations, you've won the Writers' Workshop, you've won the amazing dream book deal. So I called them up and screamed down the phone, and they put me on speaker in the office. And from there, it has been an amazing journey. It has been something that has been supported by everybody around me, and it has been something that has been both completely fulfilling and completely challenging as well. Since then, I've also gone on to grow my business. So the book has come out. It has literally got into the hands of thousands of people around the world. And because I did the work on myself, I've been able to add other different layers to my business as well. So I support women through my program, the Unstoppable Success Accelerator. I'm founder and creator of the Happy Women Make More Money program, founder and creator of the VIP Society as well. I've stood on stage and spoke to thousands, which has always been a dream of mine. And I have really, really started to step into living my own happiest life. I've featured on the front cover of magazines, and I've even made a TV show. But despite all of this fantastic celebration, these achievements on the outside, there's always an underlying undercurrent of challenge. And when I was in Johannesburg in January and I was filming for this TV show, I was also invited to be interviewed for an article for Marie Claire. Now, some of you might have read this article already, and I have to say that in my business career, being interviewed for this article was the hardest thing that I have ever had to do. I had a 90-minute interview scheduled in this gorgeous hotel when I was in Johannesburg, and I was on the phone to the journalist. And she was asking me questions about when I had been raped. And even in my counseling session, I had never talked through in the way that this journalist was asking me to talk through things. And in that moment, I was faced with making the decision of whether to give up on it all or to use my challenge and pain for good. I ended up cancelling the interview. I almost pulled the article for Marie Claire because the pain was too much for me to deal with inside. I sat in the bath for close to 2 hours crying, wondering if I would ever get a boyfriend again, wondering how you guys, my friends and family, would judge me when this article came out. I sent an email to my publishers, pulling it from publication, and I sent the journalist a message on Skype saying that I couldn't go through with the rest of the interview. Now, it took me some time, but I focused on the power of the message, and I focused on what I am here to do. And when I say that this book is not about me, it's about you, I really mean that. This book is about what we can do with the message for you and for everybody else. And when I was sitting in that bath, when I was crumbling inside, when I felt like all of the work that I'd done with my counselor, all of the work that I'd done on myself had been undone, I reminded myself of my mission to help 1 million people change their lives using positive psychology. And I knew that through sharing this article, through sharing this story that makes me feel scared, makes me feel fearful, I know that it can help so many other people around the world. So that article went to print in March, and I received so many messages from people that it had helped around the world, people that were undergoing horrendous things within their family, things within their past, things that they needed to work on and heal. Messages of thanks for getting this message out into the world and for stopping this subject from being taboo. Since then, I've gone on to work with United Nations Women to support their End Violence to Women campaign, for which I am an ambassador. Now, this is a campaign and this is the area of my work that I probably feel most aligned with now, because I help give other women a voice when they feel like they don't have the strength to find theirs. I'm going to share a little video with you right now. I believe that for every woman, joy and empowerment is her birthright. It's focused on not just empowering women, but really having that equal view and equal awareness and equal voice for both men and for women. So what I find is that even if you don't think that women's empowerment is a problem, it is a problem. It's something that is vastly unequal all around the world. It's something that needs our attention, and it really needs the awareness to be built up and generated around it. Because what we see around the world, we have really, really shocking statistics. Things like 65 million girls around the world are denied education. And I haven't experienced feeling unequal, but that doesn't mean that these problems aren't still going on in the world. So it's something that we really need to focus on, and something that we can, by talking about it more and by raising awareness, we can start to do something about this divide. I definitely think that a lot of women are afraid to speak up. I think there's two things going on. I think there's women don't understand that it's a problem, and then women are afraid to say that it's a problem. So it's not really a dinner table conversation, but it really, really should be. So I feel like a lot of women, maybe if they've experienced some violence in their lives, if they have had a situation where they felt disempowered, they don't have the belief or the confidence in themselves to actually say that they feel that there's a problem or they feel that there's an issue. But what happens when we do start talking about it and we are aware of the statistics, as shocking as they may be, is we actually give the strength to that woman that is nervous about speaking up. We help her see that there's an opportunity and a possibility for her to grow and thrive and feel stronger and feel happier by sharing her voice and by adding her voice to this conversation. Men and women can start this conversation within their lives, within their friendship groups, at the dinner table even, by just starting to talk about it, starting to ask questions to each other. What I found that happened when I started to have a voice on the subject of ending violence against women, gender equality, was that I realised that there's so many people in my network and in my circle that had either experienced domestic violence, were experiencing some sort of bullying situation at work, they were experiencing the inequality in pay, or they'd actually experienced some sort of sexual trauma as well. And it's really shocking, the statistics around this type of violent act towards women. The statistic is that it's 1 in 3 women that are affected by physical violence. So that means when you're out for dinner and there's 4 of you at a table, even 3 of you at a table, one of your friends has experienced this in their lives. As a woman, one of the things that makes me feel most empowered and strong is entrepreneurship. And that might not be a natural fit for women's empowerment, but I know through my own journey of entrepreneurship, I've actually learned so much about myself as well as about the business world as well. But having the risk-taking element of having a business, being put in a man's world sometimes and having to show up, to speak, to go to meetings, to hold your own, it's a really, really empowering thing. And I know that when we start to work together and we start to collaborate and consciously co-create, whether it's men or women or men and women together, when we have that conscious collaboration, we can be, do, create and have so much more. Feminism and female empowerment really means the equality of genders. It's not just about women, it's also about recognizing the equality that we need between men and women. I also think it's really important to celebrate everything that goes well rather than just focusing on the things that go bad. So celebrating where companies are finding equal pay, celebrating relationships where guys are behaving and acting fantastically, and looking at the advancements that we're making, looking at the progress that we're making, and the work that we're doing to really support this cause and this conversation. Thank you. So that was a piece that we created for an app that came out of Silicon Valley that was just recently developed. And the piece was created to really build awareness around this message and around the conversation and to make it okay to talk about these things in public. The more of the awareness that we can create, the more of a difference we can make. And this book is so important to me because not only does this book get the tools and the teachings into the hands of the people around the world that need them the most, but it also goes some way to support the people that need it the most through the End Violence to Women campaign. So for those of you that have purchased the book, 100% of my author proceeds are being donated to United Nations Women, to their End Violence to Women campaign to support other women around the world where they need it most. Thank you. So I know that despite challenge, despite being in a fearful place, despite trauma, despite things not going as well as they possibly could, we do have the power to make a change. We do have the power to step into the now, to choose to do things a different way. I am now living my happiest life. I've spent time in amazing places around the world. I'm surrounded by the most amazing people. I have a fantastic business, fantastic friends, fantastic family, and I'm so grateful for all of the experiences that I've had, including the bad things that have happened to me as well. It's possible for you to live your happiest life as well, and that starts right now, today. I'd love for you to all close your eyes. Just put down anything that you're holding in your hands right now. Sit up nice and straight in your chair. Pop your hands into your lap with your palms facing upwards. This is known as the receiving position. And just consider as you start to breathe deeply here, what your happiest life looks like. What your happiest self means to you. How do you see yourself as your best possible self in the future? Whether this is 12 months down the line, 3 years down the line, 10 years down the line, or 30 years into your future. See yourself as your best possible self. Consider which environment you're in right now. Which country are you in? What are you surrounded by as your best possible self? What type of home do you see? Who do you spend time with as your best possible self, and how do they allow you to feel? What emotions do you feel as your best possible self? What sounds do you hear, and how do you feel? Who are you surrounded by as your best possible self? What things do you own or do you use? How do you show up as your best possible self? And how can you show up as more of that right now, today? What do you look like as your best possible self? How do you hold yourself? How is your hair, and what do you wear? How do you feel as your best possible self? Feel that feeling inside of you, wherever you feel it right now, in your heart space, in your stomach, wherever that feeling is for you. And make that feeling inside of yourself bigger, brighter, stronger. Feel how it feels to live life as your best possible self, as your happiest self in the now. And know that this feeling is available to you anytime you want it. You just have to reach out and know that you can access it in the now. How do you feel as your best possible self? Taking a deep breath inwards as you open your eyes. I invite you to hold on to that feeling, to tap into that feeling whenever you need it. I'm going to invite Ange back up onto the stage, and I'd love to hear maybe some reflections and some questions from you guys. We're going to take a couple of questions from you. If you've got any questions about that exercise, about any of the teachings and the tools from the book, and we are going to spend a couple of minutes with you right now, just talking about what you guys need, and how I can support you best right now.
Who would like to give their first question to Nick? Should we have a hand up? Or comments, or some feedback? Who's got a question? Do you want to step forward?
Stand up.
Go ahead. What's your name? Louise. So Louise asks, when Nick says that you need to be in alignment, how Louise feels like she's a bit all over the place and she doesn't know, how can she get herself into alignment? How is she supposed to find what she's supposed to do? How does she discover that niche? When does that come, and what does that look like, that process, Nick?
So I would say, first of all, consider what it is that lights you up. Consider what it is that makes you feel alive. I don't know if you're talking in terms of a career or in terms of finding your purpose or a business, but whatever you are focused on and where you're finding that meaning and you're putting that energy has to be something that you enjoy. So I would always, always, always start with that place. And I would ask yourself the question as well, what is it that's important to you? So connecting with what your mission is. So for me, it's helping 1 million women change their lives using positive psychology. For me, I have the belief that for every person in this room and in our world, that joy is their birthright. For me, I believe that through conscious collaboration and co-creation, we can be, do, create, and have so much more. So I would start from that place. I would start from understanding what it is that you love, what it is that you're on purpose about, what it is that you believe. And from that, you'll start to understand who it is that it's important for you to help. And then you can move more into how you can help them.
Great answer. Thank you for the question, Louise. Who else is going to be brave? At the back there in the blue, and then the lady with the white jacket. So in the blue there. And what's your name? Pardon?
Felicity.
Felicity. Okay, so Felicity, like many people, unfortunately, deals with chronic pain. And when she's up, but when she is really suffering badly with it, she finds herself in a really low place and just doesn't know how to lift herself up from that. And I'm sure lots of people here can relate to that. So it's a great question. Thank you, Felicity.
I think it's really important to find the tool that works for you. So there's not a one-size-fits-all with positive psychology interventions. And I'd be interested to chat with you and see what you've tried already. Because I think one of the common misconceptions is that you have to feel positive all of the time and you've got to force yourself to feel positive. I would always invite you to try an actual, tangible, validated intervention. So maybe something like a gratitude letter or like a meditation or something like that that's actually been proven in the science to work for a variety of different populations. So not just for people that are moderately mentally healthy and happy and feeling good, but also for people that are really struggling as well. So I would test out a few different things that you can do rather than just trying to force yourself to feel happier. Because I think that when you try and force yourself to feel something, it can actually make you feel worse. And I know that you're such a positive and upbeat person anyway, but I remember that when I was showing up and I was going to do motivational events and talks, and I was actually driving to the talk and I was crying in the car because I was so scared and I felt so rubbish that me showing up as a positive psychologist that didn't feel positive at all, and that divide becoming bigger between the way that I felt on the inside and the person I was showing up on the outside actually did me more harm than good. So sometimes it's good to honor the hard days and honor the time when you don't feel great and not force it as well.
Thanks for that question. And the lady sitting in front of you, the last one? what's your name? Charlotte. So Charlotte's question was, when you get up with the full intention, I'm going to have a positive day and I'm going to be a happy woman today, it's going to be great, and then stuff happens. Some dickhead cuts you up on the drive to work, and then your clients are all tosspots. How do you get back to that positive stage? How do you not let those things affect you? I mean, you are the best at this. You are absolutely the best.
Allow things to flow over you like water.
Yeah.
You need to start a step before. So you don't start with when you're faced with the challenges, you start as soon as you wake up. So chapter 30 in the book is actually teaching you a morning ritual. Now, I don't want you to jump to chapter 30. I want to read the rest of the book as well. But chapter 30 teaches you what you can do every morning to get yourself in what's called a peak state. So to support yourself, your self-belief, and you putting yourself into those positive emotions of joy, gratitude, excitement, so that you live there more of the time. What happens when you experience more positive emotions is that you actually do something called broadening and building. So you broaden your cognition so that you're able to think more clearly, you're able to draw upon ideas and resources more easily when you need them. But you also develop your mental toolkit so that when you do face a challenge or a hard time, whether again it's a natural disaster or a daily disaster, you always realize that you have the power and you have the toolkit to make the change.
Thanks so much. Hey, would you show us that gift that you got yesterday?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Thanks for your questions, everyone.
Thank you, guys. So I'm going to, I'm going to share one of the amazing gifts that I got with you in just a second, but I just want to touch on and to reiterate how far, we all have the opportunity to come. And how far we have the time and the space and the power in the now. The experiences that we've been able to enjoy through, the work that we've done, being invited to go to Necker Island with Sir Richard Branson, for example, being featured in all of these mainstream medias, Marie Claire, Women's Health, Yoga Magazine, Psychologies Magazine, all amazing, amazing things that I'm so grateful for. We had this piece of media that went out into the Northern Echo this week. It went out to 200,000 people in the Northeast. And I have to say that even despite all of these amazing things that go on, this was probably one of the scariest things that I've done because it goes to you guys. And standing up here on stage in front of the people that I know and love, and lots of you didn't know a lot of the things that have gone on in my life and the challenges that I've experienced, has been very scary and very challenging for me. So there's a lot of people that have supported me on this journey, and there's a lot of people that I would like to thank for their part in this journey and for really bringing me to this place and space that I am at right now. At the end of the book, page 241, I used to think that being positive was all that there is. Now I realize it's not about ignoring the negative. What we resist persists. It's more about getting the fullest out of all of our life's experiences. It's about integrating the pain with the positive and resolving the conflict to allow us to feel happy and fulfilled. If I didn't have my hard times, I wouldn't have been able to appreciate so deeply what is good. My ability and capacity to help others has deepened as a result of what I've learned through my own experience, where I'm able to understand and connect with the trauma and negatives that are all too common in our lives. I want you to know that the strength that we have within us is more than enough to tackle anything that life throws. And in adversity, it's amazing how the spirit emerges and grows. I'd like to share some thank yous for the book. So thank yous for Now Is Your Chance. I stand here in the deepest joy and overwhelming flow of gratitude for the process of writing this book, which wouldn't have been possible without the support of the amazing humans that surround me. Thank you to Amy Kibbard, Joe Burgess, Sian Orrell, Julie Orton, Tom Cole and Michelle Pilley at Hay House UK, Rochelle Fredson and Blaine Toddfield at Hay House New York, Reed Tracy, Patty Gift, and of course the late, great Louise Hay, for creating the space for so many authors to share their messages, to powerfully serve so much more. With thanks to my Hay House Girl Gang, Mel Wells, Carrie Green, and Rebecca Campbell, and to my awesome editor, Sandy Draper, for helping me bring this book to life. Natalie Diver, my friend and Geordie sidekick in California, thank you for your ongoing support in Wizardry and for laughing so hard at our own jokes that we cry. The entrepreneurial journey would not have been the same without you. For my friends and roommates, Helen Jameson, Ashley Pennington, and Erin Fall Haskell, who witnessed the writing of this book from balcony and bedroom and proposal to draft to edit, and reassured me I wasn't going slowly insane in the process. George Woods Baker, for your support and wisdom when I was broken, and for believing in me when I didn't. For those of you who have allowed me to feel deep, dark pain and helped me to grow, you have been my greatest teachers, all in divine time. For the friends and loved ones that we have lost, who allow us to lean to the light with deeper meaning and understanding, and a greater resolve to do more to honor your short lives and help others who are struggling. John Rankin, Lewis McCulloch, Tom Maynard, John Ellison, Chris Redhead, and Sarah Hepburn. Mum and Dad, who noticed I was a bookworm from an early age, who gave me the best education because they believed in me and allowed me a long leash to reach for my dreams, I love you. My younger brother, Luke, for laughing at me and always bringing me back down to earth. I am so proud to see you become a dad. Thank you to each and every one of my thousands of clients for showing up for yourselves to do the work and for the stories you agreed for me to share within the pages of this book. For my team who support me, my vision, my mission, and my business daily, and who have held the space for me to create, I thank you. To my many coaches, and specifically those of you who have helped me recently and directly with Now Is Your Chance, Brendan Bouchard for supporting me in finishing the book and being a role model who always over-delivers and raises the bar. Ryan Madgers for your support strategy and for being a friend. And Zach Dixon for holding me accountable to sharing my story on stage so that I can more powerfully serve. To my mentors whose early influence shaped my life. Wilf Gillander for introducing me to positive thinking when you slipped those positive quotes into our passport holder back in 2005. Angie McLean for seeing and nurturing my brilliance as a presenter and entrepreneur, and Mr. Fleck for helping me to overcome my fear of public speaking in high school. To my many wonderful friends who cheer me on, you have no idea how much your words of encouragement have kept me going over the years. Most recently, Ange Loughran, Caroline Edwards, and Megan Anderson, who have surrounded me with so much love and support. Thank you to War Guru Khalsa and Golden Bridge for suggesting the Kundalini practice for this book. Thank you, universe, for gifting all and I with the support to be, do, create, and have all that we desire. And for my guides, angels, and God for helping me to help you rise. For Sue at Rape Crisis UK, please know my eternal gratitude for your support and for helping me to find my strength, voice, and heal. Maria Anderson at onebracelet.org and United Nations Women UK for holding a space within which I've found so much alignment and power to help other women in our world and raise awareness of the message for gender equality and ending violence to women. And finally, for you, the reader, and for every man and woman who has struggled to find happiness, I want you to know it's available for you, it's meant for you, and it's right here within these pages, and the journey you're about to embark upon. I am blessed, and so are you. I'd like to share some specific thank yous for today, for this experience that we share in right now. Charlotte Conliffe for my makeup, Jade Watson for my hair, Justine Wilkie for my nails. Justine, I've been going to you for my nails for 13 years, which means you're probably the most stable thing in my life. Flowers by Jan Waters, Sarah Stone and Rianne for videography and photography. Keith Maxwell and Maxwell's DIY for the amazing board that you saw up in the reception area. Red Bull and Charlotte Henderson for the Red Bull serving area that you saw up in reception. Hay House for supporting this event. Contributors to the book in the room, Dr. Esho and Emma Stirk, you featured in the book. Thank you so much. Thank you to Marie Claire, Women's Health, Yoga Magazine, Psychologies Magazine for promoting the book. Thank you in the Northeast to the Northern Echo and Lux Magazine. To Dave at Team Valley Printers. To Imran Khalik, who was probably the only friend that I could ask if I could borrow his Rolls Royce, and he replies with which one. Thank you to The Sage, to the fantastic sound and AV team that we have at the back of the room. Can we have a round of applause for them, please? Thank you to Greg for your support. and for supporting this event. Thank you to my team around the world who support me every day. Natalie Diver, Grace Robinson, who is here within this room as well. And I'd like to call up to the stage two very special ladies. Ange Loughran, first of all. Thank you so much for introducing me, for being an amazing friend.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And Rachel Maxwell, who without Rachel's a friend of mine from school, and we've had the pleasure to work together in my business for the past 6 months, which has been absolutely amazing. And without Rach, this event really would not have been possible. It would not have been as smooth running. I have got no idea how she does these things for a job, for a living. She's been absolutely amazing, Rach. Thank you so much. Please come up on stage. Cute. And I received a few little presents. Those of you that follow me on Instagram will see I got an amazing gift to my hotel room this morning from my brother and Haley, which I've been an emotional wreck all day getting these. They sent me an amazing gift with all of my copies of achievements from all over the years, blogs that I'd written, all in this one place and space. And then when Sarah Stone, our amazing photographer and videographer, arrived today, she gave me a gift that had wrapping paper that had the Tyne Bridge on, the Angel of the North, and it actually had the sage on it as well, so that was super cool. And she gave me this framed poem. And you'll notice this poem within your book, so you can read along with me as well. It's just after the acknowledgement section, so it's on page... the page after XII. And it starts, I am not who I am and where I am because it was easy. I am who I am and where I am because it was hard. For that, I live in gratitude. I took my difficulties and I ran with them. I cried, I felt scared, I released, I let go. I loved, I healed, and then I shone brighter than ever before. Thank you. So guys, we're going to have a drinks reception across at Avika, but we're going to do a book signing first. There are some drinks at the back of the room, so those of you that do still have a glass, please top yourselves up. We've got the camera guys that are going around, so if you'd love to get a photo against the backdrop, then please do. Please stay, chat, and I'm going to sign you books if you'd like them to be signed. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming, and have an amazing rest of your night. I can't wait to celebrate together. Thank you.